Okay. Aloha, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our Thursday, May 21st, Hanama Talks, featuring Hannah Shipman. She is the Community Outreach Director for the Blue Planet Foundation. And today she'll be talking about energy efficiency, a bridge to 100% clean energy in Hawaii. So without further ado, Hannah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I know this is Hanama Talk's first live seminar, so I appreciate us trying a new system. So we're currently on Zoom. You guys can see all the different platforms, but I'll be sharing my screen and kind of going through this presentation with you today. I'm going to talk about accelerating Hawaii to 100% clean energy. We'll talk a little bit about our current journey, where we're at, a little bit about climate change, and then what we can do to be more energy efficient, since efficiency is our cheapest and cleanest energy resource. So a little bit about me. My name's Hannah Shipman. I'm the Community Outreach Director at Blue Planet Foundation. I grew up in upcountry Maui. I'm 5th generation here in Hawaii, and so the work that I do is really important to me because I've been here for a little over 300 years, my family, and will hopefully be here for many generations after. So let's talk about what we love about Hawaii. I love our hikes to beautiful waterfalls. I love our white sand beaches and crystal clear waters. I love our abundance of marine life. I love surfing with my friends, eating poke, and I look forward to the Merry Monarch Festival each year. What isn't beautiful about Hawaii is our use of fossil fuels. So here in the islands, we're 80% dependent on oil and coal. We have no indigenous fossil fuels here in Hawaii, so we have to import it all into the state. What happens when we burn that fossil fuel? We emit greenhouse gases. Those greenhouse gases go up into the atmosphere, causing it to be thicker, making it harder for heat to escape, warming the planet. So 2016 was the hottest year ever recorded. 2019, last year, was the second hottest year on record, but for Hawaii, it was our hottest year ever recorded. So if you can remember last year, 2019, the summer was really excruciating. The beginning of winter was really hot. And so we're noticing warmer temperatures here in Hawaii. With warmer air temperature, there's also warmer sea temperature water. So our oceans are heating up. And with an increase in surface temperature water, there's an increase in storms that are occurring. So this is an image of Hawaii in 2015. You can see us in the middle of the Pacific, completely surrounded by hurricanes. So our hurricane seasons are getting a little bit more intense. The hurricanes seem to be lasting longer. With warmer sea temperatures, hurricanes have a longer duration time. We're noticing a lot of heavy rainfalls, a lot of rain falling in a short amount of time, huge flash floods. We're noticing king tide episodes. This is Lahaina on Maui. So the airport's over here, right? You're driving out to the west side. So king tides are causing flooding. We're seeing that in Waikiki as well. We had a big king tide episode in 2017. Mapunapuna. You can see the king tides are bringing fish onto the sidewalk. So severe water coming up in these kind of low-level areas that are inland. We're also noticing a lot of beach erosion. If you've been to the north shore of Oahu recently, you've seen a lot of this beach erosion. The houses are losing the foundation beneath them as the waves and tides get bigger and pull more of that away. We're also noticing severe flooding. I don't know if you remember this in April a few years back. This wasn't Hurricane Lane or Hurricane Olivia. This was just flooding. So we got a flash flood warning on our phone, didn't think a whole lot of it, definitely didn't think it could cause this much damage. This is Honolulu on Kauai. They got severe flooding. When you prepare for a hurricane, you get your sandbags, you get your food and water, you're a little bit more aware of what's happening. When we think of a flash flood, we don't think of a whole lot of damage. We don't move from our homes, we kind of just go about our day. But when you know that flash floods could cause this much damage, it's a different story. So we're noticing more rain falling in a short amount of time. UH scientists predict that at the end of the century, we'll have a 1 meter sea level rise. So what does that look like for our coastal communities? Here I have Waikiki, right? This would be the Hilton, Waikiki Beach. I got the Convention Center, Iolani School, the beach park. This is the Alawai here. And so at earliest, 1 meter sea level rise would happen by the end of the century. So at earliest 40 years from today. So what's that gonna look like for our coastal communities? So here in Waikiki, it's gonna look something like this, right? So this is the Alawai here. We're noticing a lot of flooding. And so this is really gonna affect a lot of coastal communities around Hawaii, and very obviously gonna affect Waikiki area. Can anybody guess how much money we spend every day importing fossil fuel? We can try use our chat feature. So maybe if everyone opens their chat, you guys can throw some guesses up in there. If anyone can guess how much money we spend every day importing fossil fuel. Too much? That's a good guess. Yeah, we spend quite a bit of money. We spend roughly $15 million every day importing fossil fuel. So that's over $5 billion a year. Oh, this slide is incorrect, shoot. Hawaii imports more than 36 million barrels of oil each year. That 8.5, it should be 36 million barrels, and over 80% of our energy comes from burning fossil fuel. That's why Blue Planet's mission is to clear a path for 100% clean energy here in Hawaii. We envision a world of abundant renewable energy that sustains all life on Earth. We were instrumental in passing the first 100% renewable energy bill. It states that all electricity produced in Hawaii by 2045 will come from renewable energy resources. We're the first state in the nation to adopt such policy, so it's really exciting to kind of be at the forefront of this revolution, right? What's happening in Hawaii, what worked, what didn't work. Other states since have followed suit. California signed their 100% renewable energy, New Mexico, Washington, Puerto Rico, and so it's really exciting to watch these other states jump on board. Blue Planet Foundation works in 3 parts. We work in advocacy, awareness, and action. So in advocacy, we do a lot of lawmaking. We do lawmaking at the state capitol, rulemaking with the PUC, and we implement programs on the county level. So we're constantly doing a bunch of this higher up work. And what's really important about our work is our awareness. So it's great if we're doing all this higher level policy work, but if we can't connect that work with our community, it's not as effective. And so we want to find ways to really bring in the community, make them understand what we're doing, encourage them to take part, learn about renewable energies, learn about efficiency, want to be a part of our clean energy future. And so we spend a lot of time around education. So I do everybody in the community, anyone not K through 12. So I lead all our community outreach initiatives. We give presentations, workshops, events all around renewable energy and efficiency. And then we have Mr. Griff. He goes into the classroom and speaks to students K through 12 and gives them kind of the complex issues of climate change and clean energy and renewables in a really easy to understand way that's not daunting and scary. And so, you know, it's really great that we're able to educate the youth because, right, they're going to be our future leaders. And then action, we're constantly creating programs and different ways people can get involved. I wanted to share this with you. This is our Island Pulse. It's islandpulse.org, and it shows you on Oahu how much energy we're using at any given time. So I took this screenshot about an hour ago, and on Oahu, we're currently at 25% clean energy and 75% fossil fuel. This is it broken down by items. So it's pretty windy today. We're about 6% wind, waste 6%, solar. It's a fairly sunny day, not a lot of clouds. We're at 13%. And then coal, we are at 19%, and fossil fuel, we're at 56%. If you look over here on the weekly progress, you can see, you know, Tuesday we used a lot of energy. Sunday, maybe because people were out and about, going to the beach. It was a beautiful day. We used less electricity. So you can kind of see every day how much energy we're using and where that energy is coming from. The big thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today is energy efficiency. So, right, the best thing we can do on our clean energy journey is to use less electricity. The less electricity we use, the less we have to produce. It's the biggest thing we can do on our journey to 100%. But it's also really important during this time of COVID-19 and our stay-at-home order. You know, we have our kids, we're working from home, we're spending a lot more time inside, so we're using a lot more residential electricity than we're used to. And so I currently, you know, have 4 people in my home, and in the month of April, our electricity bill went up $200. And, you know, we practice a lot of energy efficiency practices, and I was very shocked by the increase in our electricity bill. And I'm sure many of you are having similar issues when you're spending so much time at home. I'm doing a lot more baking and using my oven and using our electric water heater more. So a lot of those really add up. So I wanted to shine light on energy, how much we're using in our home, and tips and tricks to really reduce the amount of energy we're using. So I'll share some stay-at-home tips for keeping electricity costs down, what we need to know about energy in the time of COVID-19. I wanted to show you this short video. This is a PSA we did. It is a 1-minute commercial about waste and energy and kind of getting us thinking about waste.
It's obvious that waste is ridiculous. Why don't we think the same about wasting energy? Find out how you can be smarter with your energy at smallkindridiculous.org.
So, right, some of those things we see as really wasteful. We'd never use an entire bottle of sunscreen when we go to the beach, or that much saran wrap for musubis. But we might leave the house with all the lights on, or we might leave our air conditioning running because it's convenient to come home to a cool house. So we want to see those actions as equally as wasteful as using all that sunscreen or all that saran wrap. So really changing the way people think about energy. Energy is kind of an invisible thing, right? When you buy a car, you have an MPG. You know how many miles per gallon that car gets. You know how much money you're going to spend on gas. You have more of an understanding of what that's going to look like. The leaf, for instance, inside when you drive grows trees. And so if you're using regenerative braking or you're being more efficient, those trees grow, which shows that you're using less electricity or less, you know, gas if you're in your car and doing MPGs. And they've done many studies on being able to see your fuel consumption. This one I found really interesting. It was a pilot program showing pilots that fly aircrafts real-time fuel consumption feedback. And so when they were flying, it basically showed them how much energy they were using. At the end of the year, 1,300 to 3,300 tons of CO2 was saved, and they had an average saving in dollar amounts of $300,000 to $800,000. So when they were able to see the amount of energy they used, they ended up reducing how much fuel they were consuming. And so being able to see the fuel consumption makes a big difference. Same when you go to the grocery store, right? Everything's a line item. You know how much you're spending on rice and tofu and vegetables and chicken and toilet paper and candles, right? You have all these line items. So you're not going to spend $50 more for one product when you could get a different product. You get to kind of make those choices that work best for your wallet and your family and your health. And so it makes it really easy to make those decisions. Our electricity bill isn't really like that, right? You get a bill at the end of the month and you don't really know where your energy's going. That was me. The month of April, I got our bill. It was $200 more than normal. And I was like, what were we really doing to use that electricity? And so it's really hard, you know, to really figure out what's using the most electricity. And so today we're going to shine some light on some tips and tricks on how to reduce our energy bill to both help the planet and our wallets. So I have 3 items here. I have an Energy Star refrigerator, I have a DVD player, and I have an incandescent light bulb. If all 3 of these items were left on 24/7 for an entire year, What item do you think would use the most electricity? You guys can maybe type your answers in the chat, and everyone can kind of guess. We'll make it a little bit interactive. So I have an Energy Star refrigerator, a DVD player, and an incandescent light bulb. Can anybody guess how much or which item would use the most electricity? See, fridge, good guess. It's actually gonna be that DVD player. So our fridge is Energy Star, so we know Energy Star is already more efficient. Refrigerators are made to be running 24/7 all the time, so they happen to be more efficient than we think. We know incandescent light bulbs aren't as efficient as LEDs, but it's actually that DVD player. That DVD player is going to use the most electricity. And so some of those smaller items end up using a lot more energy than we think. So let's go through a few tips and tricks. The first one I'm going to share with you is LED light bulbs. LED light bulbs are 90% more efficient than incandescents. They use a lot less energy. They also are cool to the touch, so they don't heat up your home, so they keep your home cooler. And they last an average of 13 years, so you're not swapping out your light bulbs as frequently. The average incandescent lasts about a year to a year and a half, and so certainly for me, not switching out my light bulbs is a huge plus. But the average home in 2003 had 34 light bulbs. You can imagine today we probably have more than 34 light bulbs. With our kitchen light fixtures alone, there's way more than probably needed. But if you changed all 34 light bulbs from incandescents to LEDs, you'd save $340 a year. So it's a $10 savings per light bulb per year. So I shop at Costco. So this is Costco Evole. That's my Costco. But Hawaiʻi Energy, I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Hawaiʻi Energy. They're a program that's funded by all of us. They're funded by ratepayers. So 1.5% of your utility bill goes to this public utility fund. That fund is called Hawaiʻi Energy, and it's contracted and ran by different companies. Right now it's Leidos, but they offer many different programs to help people be more energy efficient. So they have rebates, incentives, educational workshops. They do a lot of different things. But for lighting, they have what they call a point of contact rebate. So you go into the store, it's already discounted, and this is the price you pay when you walk out. Some of their other rebates, you have to fill out forms and send them in to get larger amounts of money. But the average pack of 6 light bulbs here is $15. You're gonna get that for $2.50. So it's a lot cheaper when these rebates are in place. This is currently what they have. So this is their limited time promotions that they have at Costco. They have these promotions at Lowe's, Home Depot, everywhere you buy lighting. So you'll be able to get them at any retailer you already use. I go to Costco, so that's where I pick up my light bulbs. So I like to share about them, but these are currently some of the ones they have in place. So $4.99 for a 4-pack. You can get different lighting, daylight, bright light, soft white. So there's different options for your home needs. So the second biggest consumer of electricity in our home is our electric water heater. It can be up to 40% of our energy bill. The largest consumer of energy in the home is a central AC system, but not many of us don't have central AC. So I like to say the biggest consumer of electricity in the home is our electric water heater. It can be up to 40%. After 2010, all homes are required to have solar hot water heaters. But if you live in a home that's built after 2010, it's basically brand new. So many of us live in homes that don't have solar hot water heaters. My grandma lives out in Kailua. They built their house about 50 years ago, and she has 5 electric water heaters. They're really small, and they're kind of placed all over the house, but she now lives alone. So I found out she had 5 electric water heaters about a year ago. So I went around her house and switched off all the ones she doesn't use. But really thinking about, do I need to put my water heater on a timer? You can put it on a timer. It doesn't need to heat water all day and all night. You can have it heat water. You know, mine goes on for a few hours in the evening when I shower. Normally people do a few hours in the morning and a few hours in the evening, depending on their routine. And so you can really change that around. If you're thinking about solar hot water heaters, that's another option. To put it into perspective, the average person takes a 10-minute shower. If we cut that shower down to 8 minutes, we would save $460 a year. Right? That's quite a bit of money just for cutting down our showers by a few minutes. There's also these cool energy efficiency gadgets that you can implement in your home. One of them is a energy efficiency shower head, and the way it works is it pumps more air through your shower head using less water. And so a gadget, but keeping the same pressure, right? It's pushing the air so you have that pressure while using less water. So a gadget like this would save you $280 a year. And that's just an energy savings number. I don't do water savings, but you're saving water, so you'd be reducing your water usage. This is the Hawaiʻi Energy Marketplace. I use this as a resource because it has everything in one place, and they're also rebated. So that shower head here is only going to cost you $4, which is awesome. It's rebated down from $20. Unfortunately, places like Home Depot and Lowe's don't carry a lot of these energy efficiency gadgets, but you can get them online at Amazon and other online retailers as well. Does anyone have a second fridge? Think about your home. If you grew up in Hawaii, you probably grew up with a second refrigerator. As I mentioned, my grandma lives out in Kailua. She's 100% Chinese. She's under 5 foot. She's a very small woman, and she has a second refrigerator and a second freezer. And they are all completely jam-packed with food. Some of that food's probably been in there my entire life. You know, she's one of those people that has a little bit of rice in her rice cooker. She'll saran wrap it and freeze it for later. She's all about no waste. But a lot of times our second refrigerator is non-Energy Star. We get a new refrigerator, the old refrigerator is still working, we throw it in the garage for any kind of overflowed food or drinks. But that second refrigerator can cost you up to $300 to run if it's non-Energy Star. So thinking, do I really need that second refrigerator? My grandmas are both Energy Stars, so she's like, I can keep them, they're Energy Star. You gotta pick your battles. She's 87, so that is not one of them. But really thinking, do I need that second refrigerator? Hawaiʻi Energy runs a program that I think is really great. It's called the Rid-A-Fridge program. So they'll come to your house if you have a second refrigerator that's non-Energy Star. They'll pick it up and they'll pay you $75 for it. So this is probably my favorite program that they do. I'm from Maui, and so Maui does not have curbside recycling. We don't have green waste pickup, and we most certainly don't have large waste pickup. When I moved to Oahu, the big trash days completely blew my mind. You could put your TV and your furniture on the side of the road, and they would come pick it up every month. I remember when I first moved to Oahu, I was walking down the street we lived on, and I saw this giant flat screen TV. And I called my boyfriend, and I was like, you need to come over and pick up this TV. Like, I've never seen a TV so big. And of course, he thought I was crazy, but came and got the TV anyways. And we brought it home, and we plugged it in, and the thing just worked perfectly. And I was so excited. But because we don't have things on outer islands, such as big trash pickup, we keep everything. So to dispose of a second refrigerator is really hard. You've got to get a truck, you got to lug it to the dump. It's like a whole process. And so we basically keep all of our appliances. But if you have a second refrigerator and you're thinking, you know, I probably don't need that, I can get rid of it, you should definitely take part in this program because you can get $75 for your 20-year-old refrigerator. Another thing to really think about is the temperature your refrigerator is on. So your fridge should be between 37 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit to keep your food the freshest, but use the least amount of electricity. And your freezer, 0 to 5 degrees Celsius, or degrees Fahrenheit. So you can really think about what your energy is using, right? You want to keep it at a certain degree. Another really great way to help your fridge is to dust it. So it has coils on the bottom and coils on the back, depending on what kind of fridge you have. And if you dust those, it'll make it a lot more energy efficient. About 30% more energy efficient by dusting those coils. So many of us might have been baking a lot during this time. I am not a baker, but I've been trying really hard. A few days ago, Lilikoi butter mochi is like my favorite dessert. And so a few days ago, I went to the store and I bought rice flour, and they didn't have any mochiko rice flour. And so I just bought regular rice flour, and I thought, oh, Mochiko's just a brand. It won't make a difference. Little did I know that regular rice flour is not the sweet, sticky, glutinous rice flour. And I had very cakey butter mochi squares. But we're using our oven a lot more, right? We're baking bread, we're baking cookies, we're trying to make, different dinners because we're eating home so much. And so the oven uses quite a bit of electricity. And so peeking in the oven, which I know we all love to do, uses more electricity than we think. So every time we peek in the oven, it reduces the amount of electricity by 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So every time you open it, 25 degrees Fahrenheit leaves the oven, and it uses about twice the amount of energy to reheat back to your 350 or your 375. So avoid peeking in the oven makes a really big difference in your energy bill over time. Smart strips. So many of us have power strips in our home. And so, the power strip has lots of different outlets and a switch you can turn it on and off. A smart strip works similar, but a little bit different. So the red's always going to be on. We can plug something like our internet into the red. The blue is called the control. So I'll plug something like our TV into the control. And then the green are the switches. So we'll plug something like our DVD player, our sound system, our Xbox, our Apple TV. And so when you turn on the TV in the blue, everything in the green turns on. Meanwhile, your internet stays on all the time. So when you turn on the TV, your Xbox, your sound system, your DVD player will all turn on. And when you turn off the TV, all the things in the green will also shut off, essentially being unplugged from the wall. So you're not going to go behind your TV and unplug all of those items, but when they're plugged in, it's called phantom load. So these items are using electricity even though they're not on. So you might not be listening to your TV or your sound system, but when they're plugged in, they're still pulling some electricity. So this system's really great for desktop computers, for TV systems that have sound and DVD and gaming. But a gadget like this would save you about $40 a year. This is the Hawaiʻi Energy Marketplace. Again, you can see these are the different power strips. This one's $10 with the rebate. The cheapest power strip you can buy at Walmart is $10, so you might as well upgrade to a smart strip and try it out. There's some other ones based on the load you'll be using. You can also buy them on Amazon and other online retailers. Fan rotation. Does anyone get home from a long day of work or school, or right now as you're sitting in your house listening to this webinar, you can look up at your fan. So fan rotation is really important to keeping your home the coolest. So here in Hawaii, we want our fans to rotate counterclockwise. So there's a little switch on your fan. If I look up, my fan little switch is black. Some of them are white, and it changes the way your fan rotates. And this is because if you live somewhere cool, in the winter, you want your home to be hotter. So heat rises. So you want your fan to rotate clockwise to push the heat back down. In the summer, you want your home the coolest. So you want it to rotate counterclockwise so it can pull the cool air up and dissipate the hot air. In Hawaii, if it's our fan is on, it's because we are hot. So we want our fans to rotate counterclockwise to keep our home the coolest. With summer coming up, this is a big one, so we can use less air conditioning and get those fans rotating. Does anyone hang their clothes out to dry? I grew up in upcountry Maui, lots of space, lots of wind, really sunny, and I always used an electric dryer. And I didn't think a whole lot about it, but I went to university and got my undergraduate in England, in Canterbury, about 45 minutes outside of London. And I got to my dorm and they had no electric dryers. And if you've been to England or heard of England, it's really wet, it's really gray, it's really cold, and they didn't have electric dryers. And I was like, okay, so how do I dry my clothes? And everyone was like, oh, you hang them inside. And I was like, you want me to hang my clothes inside? Isn't it going to be musty and mildewy? And how does anything dry? They're like, no, it's fine. Just try it. So of course I tried hanging my clothes inside. I didn't have a choice. And sometimes they would take, 3 days to dry. I remember my towels were super crunchy in the beginning, but it became a habit. In the beginning, I was like, this really is awful. Like, I really don't like hanging my clothes. It's a total hassle. But then 3 years went by, and by the end of my degree, it's all I knew. It became my new normal. I always hung my clothes, and I didn't think a whole lot of it. It was totally fine. I was happy doing it. So when I moved back to Oahu, I lived at the top of Laliha in one of those monster homes. So there's like, I was one renter of like 6, and it's all cement, and there's nowhere to hang my clothes out to dry. So I got the giant inner tubes you take to the beach, and I used to just lie them across my living room and hang all my clothes on that, and they would dry fairly quickly. So there's lots of innovative ways we can hang dry our clothes, but hang drying our clothes will save us about $300 a year. So it's a big savings for, you know, not a lot of change, right? You don't have to purchase anything. You don't have to do anything new. You just have to hang your clothes out to dry. Oh, one other thing I wanted to share is using cold water. So there's a misconception about using hot water. That's the only way your clothes will get clean. You can actually really use cold water. So washing machine technology is much more advanced than it was 10, 15 years ago. And same with detergent. Detergents are a lot stronger. They're better at cleaning clothes. So you can really use cold water to wash most of your clothes. Switching from hot water to cold water will save you, if you're just doing one load a week, just changing one load a week, it'll save you $68 a year. So it's a really easy way to transition into using cold water. With that being said, we're in this time of COVID-19, and it is recommended that if you're washing masks that you're wearing out in public, to wash them with hot water and to also dry them with heat to kill, you know, any viruses or bacteria. So just keep that in mind when cleaning your masks. So if you're thinking, okay, I really want to get started and do some of these energy efficiency gadgets, Hawaiʻi Energy is currently doing a promotion for a $5 energy efficiency kit. It comes with 4 LED light bulbs, a kitchen aerator and bath aerators. So these are similar to the shower aerator. The way it works is it pushes more air, keeping the pressure but using less water. And so these are really easy things you can implement. This isn't a smart strip, but it's, you know, works a little bit similarly. You would use this for something like your toaster. You know, if you're done using your toaster, you could, you know, switch the button off so it's unplugged, not using a phantom load, rather than just keeping it plugged in all the time. So this is a really great starter kit if you're hoping to be a little bit more energy efficient in your home. So energy use in Hawaii, we're actually using less electricity, which is great. So this is the trend over time. We can talk a little bit about what's happening now. So energy use has actually decreased since, you know, our stay-at-home order, and a big reason is because we don't have tourists coming into the state. So we're down about 7% on the Big Island and Oahu, and 14% on Maui, I believe. And so we're using less electricity, but at home we're using more electricity. So since we're in our homes more as residents, you know, we're not out and about spending our day at school or at our jobs, so we're using a little bit more electricity. But overall, you know, since 2005, we really reduced our energy use. And so we want to be as energy efficient as possible. So we're really lucky here in Hawaii. We have everything we need for 100% clean energy. We need to come together to reduce our carbon footprint because we are an island chain out in the Pacific. You know, climate change affects us, sea level rise affects us, so we want to make sure we do our part to help preserve these islands for future generations. So I encourage you to make one energy efficiency change in your home this week. Even if it's small, turning the lights off when you're not in the room, taking shorter showers, you know, hanging your clothes out to dry, changing the rotation of your fan, but thinking a little bit more about your energy use. We want to be as efficient as possible, especially when we're staying and spending more time inside. Great, well that's everything from me. From anyone that's live, please feel free to ask any questions. And yeah, thanks for joining.
Thank you, Hannah. So does anybody have any questions? If you guys do there should be a bar that says yes or no. It's kind of like raising your hand. So anybody have any questions for Hannah? And if you do, if you have video function or audio, you need to turn that on so that we can hear you.
Gavin, they can't. They have to raise their hand, and I will unmute them.
Okay, sorry.
If you have any questions, you can also type them in the chat. You don't have to ask questions if you don't have any. I hope that was really helpful for everybody. Thank you so much for joining.
And with that, I think